So, how do we even? This could be fun. Let's have Copilot explain this error to us. Try to. Doesn't know how to convert a JSON-B field. Okay. I believe that looks like Rust. What's its justification here? To solve this, you need to implement from SQL trait for vec segment. However, Diesel does not currently support JSON-B to a custom struct conversion out of the box. You'll need to implement this manually. I suspect this is not actually... I feel like you can't implement a trait on something that doesn't belong to you. Maybe we can implement from this for just a segment. We can try it though. Let's see. I guess that should be in here, yeah? Vec is not defined in the current crate. Only traits defined in the current crate can be implemented for types defined outside of the crate. Define and implement trait new type instead. Oh, wait. So can we do this? Or do I just have that backwards? No, okay, we can do that. Change the parameter type to match trait PG value. Hold on. Can we go to the definition of from SQL ADB? The bytes will be sent using the binary protocol, not text. From bytes, DB raw value thing. So something like this, maybe. Except it should be like PG. Nope, not a thing. PG has backend. Ambiguous associated type. Is that... Okay, we'll import. Oh, we lost our little bit that was in the example code. Okay. If it's not clear, I don't really know what I'm doing. I have a vague sense of where we're trying to get. Value. Aw. Thanks for the love. We're just gonna figure things out, right? So, what is this? So we are... Value... What is this type? Asserted JSON value? Well, this is not right. Asserted JSON value from... It's not satisfied. From value bytes. Hold on, can we... We should be able to see an example of how this code works, right? In have from SQL value. Wait. Hold on. Let's do side by side. From SQL is what we're trying to implement. We do have the Suri.json feature for Diesel, right? Let's check that really quick. So in our cargo file, we are using Diesel and Diesel async. Oh, are we just missing a feature? What do we think? I mean, this seems to be saying that we need Postgres backend and Suri.json, although, which one do we actually need that? No, we need it in Common API lib, because the code that we're working on right now is in Common API lib. All right, let's try this. I'm not completely sure because we're also using this Diesel async and how that's going to interact, but it's going to keep on trying things. Wait for the build to happen. Cargo check. At some point we should probably look at updating dependencies. Alright, so where were we working? Was it instructs? Yeah. Let's move this off to the side. What if we just removed all of this? Would this work now? Wouldn't that be great? I guess it does? Alright, so that was the issue. Great, now we don't have some code that I don't really understand. At least in this code base, it's, you know, it's in here. We just had to enable it. So it's leveraging like this. So it's implementing the from SQL trait for the JSONB column type for Postgres. Yeah, so I guess that must be fine. Let's see here. Models.rs now. Oh right, this is the part that has a problem. Maybe we just need to do the same thing in CRUD API. Wouldn't that be nice? Let's alternatively, I've not actually fixed the problem. I just moved it around. That's also possible. Alright, so this is what I added over here. What if I added over here? And where was... The issue was in models. Segment to implement. Nullable JSONB required for C issue 48214. Okay. what if this was just an option of a segment? Is it the vec that has the issue, or is it the segment? Like, what if this was not an option? What if we were just trying to say, hey, take the JSON-B and deserialize it into a segment? Okay. Oh, I probably should have said explain and not fix. Discard. Try this again. So now it tells me something else. It says now I need to implement queryable for segment. That's interesting. For the sake of actually having something in place, let's go back to option. SERGE. Yeah. So back to what we originally had. Does this fly? Seems to. Okay. So at some point I might want to figure out what I need to do to have something that I can so that I can have this be actually a vec of segments in our model of the stream. But for the sake of like just being able to make forward progress, we'll leave this like this. And I'll keep the struct here for later use, and we may have some other things, some other common, well, effectively like models, but data structures that are shared between our services. Okay, so the actual API, how about that? So we have a few different endpoints. Create. I don't think the list needs to get the information about, like, we don't need to update get list. Get one, probably not create either. Get one and update are the ones that I think it will make sense to update. So the update handler is the one that gets called when we actually try to update the record. So if we want to be able to put the transcription task URL into the record, this is where that happens. Let's see here. Let's start by kind of condensing down everything. So here's the actual handler, and this is where we look for video clips. So when we are ready to actually take in the transcript segments, we're going to do something, well, not exactly like this. So back before, when I was debating whether or not we wanted to have a separate table, we do have a separate table for video clips. And so like this is the work that we're doing to make that happen. Where we're doing an insert, but on conflict we update. And we could have done the same thing with the transcript segments. I guess at least doing it this way, where we have one where we do a separate table and one where we have a JSON-B column, means we get to see it work both ways. Now in if I wasn't streaming this, that would not be necessarily a good reason. But yeah, we're just going to keep on going with the plan. Here we go. So here's where we actually do the update on the record that we're looking for. So we should be able to do something like, can I control space here? No. Oh, right. So we need to, the update stream change set is the struct that contains the information about what we're updating in the database record. So here's where we want to add pub, yeah, transcription task URL. And I guess we can add the segments too, sure. Everything in here is optional because we have the option of updating any of the fields in the record, any of the columns in the table. Since those are not always necessarily the same thing, but will be in this case. Okay, and so then body is coming from this update stream request. And I guess we're just we're gonna do something unwise, which is we're gonna say, okay, it's some JSON. Whatever the client sends us, we're gonna store it. Let's to do, yeah, what Copilot said. Can we find the other place where we put that and update that as well? Well, maybe. It really should be. Oops. What did I do? What does Control D do here? Oh, it selects all the things that match the thing that I have selected. Interesting. Yeah, okay. Great. So we save that. That's update, and then get one so that we can like pull the record into the front end and see the task URL. So we select all columns. So that's easy, right? We just said, okay, select star from streams where the record, the ID equals the record ID. And we take that result and we use stream detail view from. Wait. What's going on here? Let results. We have two implementations of from stream. Yep. Huh. Okay. Transcription task URL is stream dot. I don't know that we need the two owned. All right, but the issue is going to be stream detail view now also needs to be updated. There we go. I guess we'll also include the transcription segments. I don't know that it actually needs to be an option. Like, I don't know. That's what we're doing elsewhere. So for consistency's sake, that would be okay. Now, what's this? All right, so now we're missing the other bit. There we go. Okay, so in Get 1, by updating the that implementation, we get a result that has the fields in question. Little what's the word? Crick in my neck from looking over at the other screen. All right. So anyway, so I think that should do it. Let's see, Control R, Docker compose. I think we'll just do everything. If we do -- build, I mean, this says what I thought we were doing before, but this should work. Build everything that needs to be built, and then bounce the containers. Use the new images. If I had a more sophisticated setup, potentially what we could do is we could have the things that are in common between all of the different containers, since they're all basically the same they are the same Docker file, right? Just with some details different. Maybe we could have a base image. That would be... No, I guess it amounts to pretty much the same thing anyway, right? Because we're using the same base image. The yeah, I think that's fine. I don't think it would be much faster, and it would be a more complicated thing to deal with. We'd have to have something separate to build the base image. All right, so what we should be able to do once this is done is have Postman. We'll do our GET request to... Oh, just before? Well, I was just thinking if there was a way... Yeah. Well, that's funny because I think what I was thinking about was, would it make sense to try to... Because we have... It's kind of interesting, right? Because in my experience, when I've done projects using Docker like this, different services would have their own Docker files because there were not things quite so in common as they are in this case, right? So, and at some point it might make sense to have like separate Docker files, right? One of the things I'm kind of doing here is I'm cheating, right? Because not all the services need to have FFmpeg or Python or OpenAI Whisper, but I'm effectively just having a base image, but then parameterizing it with the service and building that specific service. And so I'm just using the same Docker file over and over again. Part of that is that some of those things are influenced by... What am I trying to say? We are threading in the cargo.toml file to tell it about dependencies, but those are specific to each individual app. Let's see, where does that start? That starts at the planner stage, right? So everything before... No. You were saying before we didn't need this, I think. That probably will make the build go faster, because we'll at least have these the base layer reusable across all the builds. But if we could somehow have it so that the, like, if we, I don't know, if we had like some way of distributing the comment, well, really the only thing in common, didn't see what I removed, oops. It was just this run test, check the service name is set. Right now, the only thing that's in common is the common API lib. Like, the other apps don't have dependencies otherwise between themselves. I think you were saying the other stream that wasn't needed. Also, that is the wrong key. Yeah, not required. But if we could somehow, like, have all of the things that are, yeah, I don't know. Not required unless you said default to the arg. Yeah. Okay. Well, anyway. I think it's fine. It's kind of where that was going. But in other circumstances, if this were more complicated, or if we were concerned about, like, if I was more concerned about the build time, which I'm really not. I mean, the other thing I could be doing is a lot of these things can be run kind of on their own. I'm just kind of lazy and don't want to bother. No, yeah, no. I am thinking through the possibility of there being a base image to be used by the other images and what the implications are of that and whether that would work. But I don't think that makes sense. Is kind of where I ended up with that. Yeah, probably that whole, like, the last couple of minutes of hemming and hawing might not make a lot of sense because that's I just kind of thinking it through with half-formulated thoughts. I think it's one of those things where it's hard to quantify that without having an actual need. I don't think there is one right now. Other than the fact that this has taken 400 seconds to build. Is this just taking a long time to download? Is that the deal? Checking and make sure my internet's still up. I feel like one time we were doing this and things were taking a really long time, and then I realized the stream went down, my internet went down, but no, it seems fine. On the other hand, my browser is my computer is really slow right now for some reason. Hold on. Let's stop this. Maybe stop this, doctor. Okay. Okay, interesting. Doing better than yours. Having internet troubles? Or computer troubles? I mean, I know you kept on, your audio kept dropping on the stream yesterday, which I've had similar sorts of troubles, and that can be really annoying, being on that side of it. Okay. Let's let me do this. Docker. Let's just stop everything. It's been a while. You just made a Docker file a bit more optimal, as it had the file copy in the middle for some reason. From 30 minutes to 10 seconds for a code change. Nice. Well, then how will people learn? Alright, how long do we think it's going to take this time? Hopefully not 400 seconds. Or is crates.io down? It is interesting. It looks like we're running cargo install, cargo chef in parallel a bunch of times. What, you're gonna do what the ticket says? I have no room to talk there. Okay, so I guess while we're waiting, I can start working on the front end stuff. It's probably about time for that. Assuming, okay. The downside of doing that, of course, is that if things go wrong, then I have to context switch back, but it's fine. Okay, so the front end. Back to that. So I think the first thing we should do is add tabs. Now, I feel like, hold on, music's a little loud. Yeah, maybe a little bit better. I feel like there's like a tabbed form. Okay. Computer's kind of slow. Or keyboard's not working. One of the two. Hold on. Did I hit a key? I did hit a key. What key is it? Okay, not bad. There we go. There is a tab form. So I'm pretty sure we can use this instead of simple form. Form layout where inputs are divided by tab. One input per line. Pass tab form.tab components as children. And they even have an example. This is a little bit different than the last time I did this with React Admin, but it looks good. Yep. So this will be, we can call it summary, sure. And then we'll make another tab here. I was kind of expecting Copilot to guess that, but guess not. There you go, video clips. Transcript, exactly. We'll just, that's not what it's actually going to be, but we'll take that. Just have something on the screen and save it. hit Control S. Yeah, it's a little slow right now. Yep, it's still building. I don't know why it's slow today. Right now. Okay, I don't know why that insisted that it needed to occupy the full screen to say it was exiting, but there you go. Okay, so do we have the front end running? We're gonna find out if this actually loads. Okay. Interesting. Real slow. Yeah, so nothing's running right now. Everything is still being built, and I guess the building itself is what is slowing things down. Okay. So let's talk about. So let's go back to stream video clips input. Right, so this is our custom control that we're using to both display information about video clips in the stream, like the array of them, and also to include the button to make the scanning happen. Now, how does this work again? How does the scan button communicate with the form? So form iterator here is a wrapper around the React admin simple form iterator that also includes the button. And so that allows us to embed scan button inside of array input, which I think is important for how this works, if I remember right. Because we get form context by using the use form context hook and scan button. And that allows us to, so props that source. Right. So props that source here. So you can see in how we're using form iterator, there's no source prop here. Array input is going to pass that itself to tell the form iterator where it can find the field of the record to display, to iterate over and provide these inputs on. So that's a little bit of React admin magic going on behind the scenes here. So we use props that source here, and then we pass it on to simple form iterator so it can do its work. So the scan button can know where in the form the thing it needs to update is. So what that really tells me is that when we are working on the next thing, which is for the transcript, if we want the ability for this widget to be able to do stuff behind the scenes to get the result of the background task and dump it into the UI, we need to do something similar where we have wrapped all of that into a custom input. Now, maybe we can do something clever here. Like we could build something like this for the transcript where we embed everything inside. but then that component will be specific to like displaying the transcript segments. And maybe that's fine. I think we could probably go back and reuse that, because I think, but I don't know, that we'll want kind of a generic click a button to trigger a task, check on the status of the task, retrieve the data result from the task, and then pull it into the UI. That workflow will probably want multiple times. So we could probably do something where we have an input like this, but the children, like we can pass the children from wherever that is being used in the same way, like, well, I guess in the same way we're doing that with form iterator, where we're passing all of these elements as the children, except we could actually take all of the details of what we are showing and pass that in side of children to the input itself. So like lifting this out. I'm not gonna bother doing that with this. And I guess we're gonna see what is a more common pattern as we go further into this, around either kind of this is more of an immediate click a button, stuff happens, we get a result back and display it, versus the asynchronous workflow I described a moment ago. Now, is the build done? No. Is anything running yet? No. Okay, cool. I guess we can see if we can keep on going with the UI work then. We got a little bit of time before the next break. So how's this going to work? So we're going to have a custom input here. Actually, how is that going to work? Because we're going to have... Okay, we're probably not just going to have source like this. What we're going to do is we're going to tell it about where to find the URL for the task in the record, and we're going to tell it about where the data is that it needs to display. And I mean, I guess if we're going to do that, we might as well do the full thing, where we'll pass in children with the fields we want to display. And that way we can kind of sketch out how everything's going to work, and then we'll implement the component itself. So this is going to be something like none of that. Stream transcript input. Stram, yeah. Yep, something like that. Except again, I don't. Let's see, how do I want to do this? Let's take that out, and we'll. Something like data source. Except it's not going to be transcript. So what did we have in the CRUD API? So in stream structs for stream DCL view, it is transcription segments. Oh, I remembered the thing we need to do if we're going to actually make this work. So on the front end, we have a data provider, and the data provider is what's responsible for calling our API and getting the data back. Okay, no, that's right. We're using Simple REST Data Provider, which is one of the out-of-the-box. Well, it's a separate package, but it's part of React Admin, sort of. And this is just going to return whatever the API returns. So it will be just the field in the API that we get back. Okay, and then how do I want to do this? maybe I'll just call it data for the sake of simplicity. And task is, it's not that. It's whatever we're returning in the other. Transcription task URL. Right. And then we'll provide a label. We'll call it transcription. And this doesn't need to be, this won't be an empty element. There we go. And we want to show, well, there's not an ID. We'll just use text inputs for the sake of simplicity right now, and we'll come back. I think we need to implement a custom field that handles ISO 8601 duration values and does something with it to make it nice to deal with. We're just not there yet. And we probably also want to have some nicer UI around dealing with the segments. Let's see. So it's common API lib now where that struct lives. Start, end, and text is the kind of the layout of the data there. So now that I've made this kind of general purpose, maybe I want to rename the component. That is, now that I've laid out how we can pass in these different parameters and describe how it can hook into the system, maybe I don't want to call this a stream transcript input. This can be more of a async task data input. Drawing on some CPU right now. All right, we're making progress on the build. 1,000 seconds in. Is there anything else that we need to kind of parameterize here for it to make sense? So we're basically telling it in the record there's a piece of data that will give you information about whether there's an in-progress task. There is a piece of data that has the results, if there are results, or where you would put the results. And then here are the data elements to put an array of form fields about with said data. What are we missing? We probably need, if we're going to have something generic like this. So if we going back to stream video clips input, there are some other things here that I think. So like we have this button here, and that button calls this mutate. That mutate comes from wrapping data provider. Okay. So I think there's still some things about like how we would make a generic version of this where we can pass in the details of like, okay, well, how do you trigger going to get the data? Like, trigger an asynchronous job, get the results back, those sorts of details. So I think for now I'm gonna take a step back. We're still just gonna, it's just going to be the stream transcript input. I'll leave the children here because it's kind of nice to have like all the UI elements in one place. And then we're gonna make this file. So we're gonna create a new file, tsx, and music is suddenly so quiet. I guess it's the end of the track. We're going to start with something like this. Stream transcript Transcript input. I may have even spelled that right. Okay. And then we want to have something very similar to what we're doing over in the original one, over here. And I'm going to copy this, but I'm going to strip out all the details for now and have just kind of a placeholder. It's just going to provide a button. No on-click. Sure. I'll say const. That's not where on is. Is loading. We're just hard coding this to false. Okay. Yoink. Great. It's not good to use any, but I'm just being lazy here. Can we parameterize children? Like, is this going to work? Or is this going to break things? I don't know. I guess we're going to find out. If it does, we'll move the text inputs down to here. I do want to see if it's going to work, though. Right now, I just need to remember where the keys are for... okay, curly braces are there. All right. I should... that's fine. Eventually, I'll remember where everything is. Someday. All right, let's remove the stuff we're not using. Yeah, props is not actually used right now, so that's fine. Yep, there's a source. So take that out for now. Just kind of a very bare bones thing, so we can. Well, once the build finishes, hey, it finished. All right, we can see if this actually does anything at all. All right, so there's our import of our new component. Okay, looks good. So, I guess we can try with postband first, right? So, now that might be kind of inconvenient. Foxy Blue is dancing. Yeah, at some point I should go back and redo that animated emote. It's kind of a derpy dance. This is my first animated emote with the assistance of ChatGPT. All right, so now we have tabs. Fancy. Now, if I go to the video clips tab, hey, all the data's there. Hooray. All right, if I go to transcript, okay, so we have a button. We have a UI, just like the Dance and Lethal Company. Well, now that you mention it, so we can interact with this, but that's broken, right? Because, oh yeah. So the way this is supposed to work is we're supposed to pass a source. So I think what we need to do is be like, let's see, move this over, make some room here. So we're let's see, things we want to take out of this. We want to take data and task and label I guess label is fine. That seems to like just automatically work. Right, if we go to transcript, transcription there shows up as the label. So data and task are the custom things that we added here to tell it where to find the relevant bits of data. So we're just going to say something like const source equals data. Yeah, that's fine. Alternatively, I could just alias it when I'm doing the destructuring here. I think that works. That does the same thing. And what we want to do is we want to say source. Yep. All right. There we go. And we don't really have a use for task right now, so I can stop it from complaining maybe by putting an underscore there. No, I don't have that exception set up in my linter, so we'll just leave that like that. Okay. So I think that's what it was complaining about though when it was giving us the error just a second ago. That because we weren't passing a source, so the array inputs and all this stuff didn't know where it should be trying to put elements. Yeah, key is undefined. Stream transcript input line 29. There's no line 29. Great. I mean, potentially the issue is that we saved, but the thing didn't update yet. We are running Vite inside of the container. So hopefully when we are saving, it is eventually no, it's not. Restart. Okay, we gotta restart the app, the front end apparently, for it to take up changes. Okay, great. All right, we're gonna take a break here in just a minute so that I can stretch my legs and so that we can run the mandatory ads. Hey, but I can add. All right, so the plan is not to actually manually add things here. The plan is to have a button that's going to trigger an asynchronous thing and then give us status, and then we'll be able to click another button to like load the result of the job into here, review it, and save it. But we will be able to manually like remove items like segments of the transcript and edit them and do those things in here. Is the goal, is the dream. But another thing we've demonstrated here is that our fields exist here, right? 1, 2, and 3 from the edit page, right? So we were able to pass children from here and inject it inside a form iterator, and that all worked. So that's good news. That means that it might not be such a pain to make a generic version of this for all of our asynchronous things like this in the future. Of course, we got to build the rest of this first, and that's what we're going to do after the break. So I'll be back in just a few minutes with some more Glowing Telegram. Yeah, that's the name of this project. It's on GitHub too. Do the dance for you. I don't know if I could do that dance. I'm not sure if that's physically possible. For what it's worth, let me also link to the Discord here, which has links to GitHub,